देशिक मे शरणं भव शङ्कर देशिक मे शरणं भव शङ्कर देशिक मे शरणं भव शङ्कर देशिक मे शरणं विदिताखिल शास्त्र सुधा जलधे महितोपनिषत् कथितार्थनिधे हृदये कलये विमलं शरणं भव शङ्कर देशिक मे 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 शरणम्।
ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। We will continue our discussion on the fourth sutra, Tattu Samanvayāt. Here Bhashyakara also discusses Pramanyam, that Vedanta or Upanishad is a Pramana. Vedanto Nam Upanishad Pramanam. Vedanta is said to be Pramanam. Pramakaranam Pramanam. Prama means valid knowledge. Pramakaranam, that which is a means of valid knowledge, is called Pramanam. Just as eyes are a Pramanam for color and forms, is Vedanta Pramanam for Brahma? In a sense similar to eyes being Pramanam for colors and forms, or ears being Pramanam for sound. Eyes reveal colors and forms, and that way they are Pramanam. Ears reveal the sounds, and that way they are Pramanam. If by common understanding, if we believe that or mean that Pramanam is that which reveals its subject matter, then can Vedanta or Upanishad be Pramanam in that sense? Does they reveal Brahman? They reveal Atma? Cannot be. With Atma or Brahman are self-revealing, self-effulgent, always revealed, always known. So even though Pramanam means Ajñāta Jñāpakam Pramanam, Pramanam is that which makes me know what is unknown. Atma, that is Brahman, cannot fall in the category of something that is unknown. Had it been totally unknown, then it could not become the object of jignyasa or desire to know. Jignasa, that is desire to know, can only arise when there is samanya jnanam, something is known generally, vishesha jnanam is not there, the specific knowledge is not there, then that object can become the object of desire for knowledge. Similarly, Brahman, that is Atma, cannot be totally unknown. It is self-effulgent, self-revealing. So it is known to us. So only that which is known samanyataya in general can become the object of desire for knowledge, visheshataya, to know the particulars. Thus Brahman is known to me. Aham asmi sadabhami kadachinnaham apriyah. The text says, Aham asmi, I am. Sadabhami, I always shine. Kadachinnaham apriyah, I never dislike myself. Brahmaivaham atasthiddham satchidananda lakshanam. That it is proven that I am Brahman, that is the nature of Satchit Ananda Asti Bhati Priyam. Thus Brahman is known generally, and therefore it can become the object of inquiry, of knowledge for knowing specifics. Which means that Vedanta is not Pramanam. In terms of revealing Brahman, because Brahman is self-revealed. In what way does Vedanta become Pramanam for Brahman? By the removal of ignorance. Ignorance of the nature of adhyasa or superimposition. We said ignorance has two aspects. Avarana and Viksheva. Avarana, not knowing something, and Viksheva, knowing it wrongly, falsely. Thus, I do not know that I am Brahman. I know that I am, but I do not know that I am Brahman. Not only that, but I take myself to be a jiva, a limited being. Therefore, there exist the conditions for Vedanta to be Pramanam for Brahma, not by revealing Brahma, Ajnana Nivartakatvat, by removal of Ajnana, removal of ignorance, that Vedanta becomes Pramanam for Brahma. But Swami, you say that Brahman is always known because he is self-effulgent. So what's the nature of Ajnana? Brahman is thought to be different from me. Call it Brahman, call it Ishvara. I know that Brahman is, but I take Brahman to be different from me. I think Brahman is located in some Brahmaloka, away from me in time, place and condition. Perhaps I can know Brahman only after death. That Brahman is here and now, and Brahman is my very self. By revealing these specifics about Brahman, that Upanishad becomes Pramanam. Not by making unknown Brahman known, but by removing the false notions about Brahman. That Brahman is separate from me, I am separate from Brahman. And that separateness is a source of all my problems. Brahman means happiness, freedom. success. And I take happiness as different from me, therefore I'm always in search of happiness. I think I'm not free as I am, and therefore I'm in search of freedom. I'm limited as I am, therefore I'm in search of limitlessness. Therefore, Brahman is not unknown, but it's thought to be separate from me. I am different, Brahman is different. And that duality, that separateness, creates in me all kinds of complexes arising from a sense of limitedness, sense of smallness about me. And that is where Upanishad says, you are Brahman Tattvamasi. You are not separate from Brahman. Brahman is not separate from you. Did you think that Brahman is separate from you? Therefore you think that you are limited, you are bound, is a notion. Is, you can say, delusion, the Brahma. And Brahma or delusion is always born of ignorance. For example, there can be Brahma or delusion about a rope. I may take a rope as a snake, and that snake then can create in me fear, a desire to run away, which really cannot happen if I knew that object as rope, because the rope is innocent. In a way, that innocent rope becomes cause of fear in me. That innocent rope creates palpitations in me, a desire to run away from that place. Thus, ignorance can create so many painful consequences. If ignorance was simply absence of knowledge, that I did not know Brahman, but that just as I do not know, let's say, Chinese language, that does not create any problems in my life. If ignorance was only absence of knowledge, generally would not create any problems in my life. But ignorance of Brahman is not just the absence of knowledge of Brahman. It is the false notions about Brahman. And therefore false notions about myself. That I am a limited, helpless being. Always feel a sense of helplessness. There is always an uncertainty in my life. I have no control over anything. I cannot acquire what I want, cannot avoid what I do not want. Helplessness in my life. All of these are consequences of ignorance of Brahman. And therefore, Vedanta becomes Pramanam not by revealing Brahman, because Brahman is self-revealed, but by removing these Brahma or notions or my conclusions about Brahman, my conclusion about myself, false conclusions about myself. The statement Tattvamasi, that thou art, says thou, you are that, you are Brahman. And that is you, Brahman is you. The statement which is that Tat is Tvam and Tvam is Tat. removes all my complexes of being a limited self, being different from Brahman, which is my goal of life, being different from Ishvara. So this is Bheda or this mutual exclusion. Jiveshvara Bheda. I, the Jiva, is different from Ishvara. Ishvara is different from me. What is meant by Bheda is mutual exclusion. Understand? When you talk of duality, we really mean Bheda. Anyonya abhava. And Bheda, or the duality between Atma and Brahma, is not that Atma and Brahma are two entities, but mutual exclusion. What Atma is, that is not Brahman. What Brahman is, that is not Atma. I exclude Brahman, Brahman excludes me. This is called Bheda or duality. So word duality may not necessarily reveal this aspect of Bheda. Non-duality means abheda. Bheda means mutual exclusion. And the knowledge is I do not exclude anything. Nothing excludes me. I am Brahman, that is the self of all. This is what the Upanishad does. In Upanishads there are these statements. Atma vare drashtavya, followed by shrotavya, mantavya, nididhyasitavya, maitreyi. This tavya pratyaya means there is some kind of an enjoyment. Atma vare drashtavya. Hey Maitreyi, Atma must be seen, Atma must be known, Atma must know the immediate reality of myself. Looks like that the Upanishad is enjoining us to know. But then Bhashyakara points out that there cannot be enjoyment of vidhi as far as knowledge is concerned. If this is my hand, it is to be known as hand. There cannot be vidhi that you must know this as a leg. That there is a part in my hand, nobody can say you must know this as a cloth. Because knowledge does not depend upon the knower. Jnanam is not Purusha Tantram, it is Vastu Tantram. Vastu such as a part that reveals what it is, and I have to know it as such. So I must know Atma as it is. I don't have a choice in knowing it differently. Karma is Purusha Tantram. I have a choice in deciding kartum shakyam, akartum shakyam, anyatha va kartum shakyam. To speak is a karma. The freedom to speak and not to speak, the way I want to speak. But then, when somebody speaks and I listen to the words of that person, there is no choice that I can listen to that as English language, as Sanskrit language, that I can listen to as I want. No. It is the words of the speaker that decides what I listen. Jnanam is Vastu Tantram, natu Purusha Tantram. So as far as karma is concerned, such as speaking, there can be vidhi or enjoyment, whether you should speak, should not speak, speak fast, speak slow, speak loud. As far as listening is concerned, there is no vidhi that you must listen, not listen. But you must listen there as English language or Sanskrit language or some other language. Listening takes place as the words are, meaning that there is no freedom in hearing the words as I want. Your hearing takes place, seeing takes place, knowledge takes place. Then Swamiji Upanishad says, Atma vara drashtavya. Atma must be seen. That is a vidhi, tavya pratyaya. So Bhashyakara calls vidhichhaya. Not quite vidhi, not quite enjoyment. As though vidhi, as though enjoyment. To direct our attention. The mind is, of course, looking for Brahman, looking for Atma, looking for happiness. I may not be looking for Brahman, but I am looking for happiness, I am looking for success, looking for love, looking for them outside. And since they are not other than me, I am not other than them, therefore I can never find them in my life. I cannot find happiness, I cannot find success, I cannot find love, because they are not separate from me. Atma vara drashtavya, therefore I am told that, hey, you must know Atma. By directing my attention from looking for Atma, looking for happiness, looking for success as different from me, as recognizing Atma as myself, recognizing love as myself, recognizing happiness as myself, is more a recognition of what it is. Atma vara drashtavya. So it is called vidhichha, it's not vidhi. So that being the case, Upanishad is pramanam not by revealing Atma, by removing ignorance. Ignorance that obtains as false notions about Atma, as we said. I am not totally ignorant of myself. Had that been the case, there would be no problem in life. Something that I am totally ignorant of doesn't create any problem. A robe that I do not see at all, as in pitch darkness, doesn't create any delusions in me. Just as in deep sleep also, I have no awareness of Atma, therefore there are no notions or delusions in deep sleep. So there is no unhappiness or sadness in deep sleep. In deep sleep, we are told that there is happiness because there is absence of cause of unhappiness. What is the cause of unhappiness? These Brahman or delusions about the self, they are the cause of unhappiness in waking and dream states. And they are not there in deep sleep state, therefore in deep sleep I abide in my own nature of happiness. Thus Vedanta is pramanam not by revealing Atma. Atma or drashtavya doesn't mean that Atma has to be made object of drishti or object of seeing. Tadeva brahmatvam viddhim nedam yadidam upasate yad vacha anabhiditam yena vaga abhyudyate Tadeva brahmatvam viddhim nedam yadidam upasate, says Kenopanishad. Yad vacha anabhiditam, that which cannot be revealed by speech. Yena vaga abhyudyate, that by which the speech is revealed. Tadeva brahmatvam viddhi, know that as Brahman, Na idam yad idam upasate. Not this that you meditate upon as them is something different from you. And this Kenopanishad goes on to say, Yan manasana manute yena ahur manomadam tadeva brahmatvam viddhi nedam yadidam upasate. Yan manasana manute, that which cannot be thought of by the mind. However, that by which the mind is thought of, which cannot be heard by ears, then because which the ears hear, which cannot be seen by the eyes, that because of which the eyes see. Thus the attention is directed to myself. In Kenopanishad, the jignasu, the aspirant comes to the acharya, comes to the teacher. Keneshitam patiti preshitam manaha kena prana prasamah pradiyuktaha keneshitam vasamimam vadanti chakshushrotram ko devo yanakti. What is it? Because of which the mind performs activities, goes into different objects to know about them, by which the people use their, utter their words in the organ of speech, which makes the eyes see, etc. Shrotrasya shrotram manaso manoyat vachoho vacham yau pranasya prana. It is not shrotram, shrotrasya shrotram. It is the ear of the ear. Manaso manoyat, it is mind of the mind. Vachaho vacham, speech of the speech. Pranasya prana, the breath of the breath. Shrotrasya shrotram, the ear of the ear. Swami, do you mean there is another ear inside? That's called the ear of the ear, the mind of the mind, the speech of the speech, the eyes of the eyes. Not really. He's not ear of the ear in that sense. This said that, hey, you always look upon ear as yourself. There is habitual identification with the upadhi of the body, sense organs, mind. And that is how you judge yourself. Not this, you are not the ears, not the eyes, not the mind. Shrotrasya shrotram. When you say you are the ear of the ear, meaning that you are the self of the ears, self of the eyes, self of the mind, self of the prana. Right now, you think that ears you are, prana you are, eyes you are. Meaning that you think that you are a hearer, you are a seer, you are a thinker, you are a breather. Prananyeva prana bhavati vadan vak pashyan chakshuhu shrunan shrotram. One identifies prana and thinks that he is a breather. Vadan vak, identifying with the organ of speech, I think I am a speaker, and so forth. Atma ite upasita. He must know yourself as Atma. Apnoti iti Atma, which pervades all these roles. Understand that speaker is not you, speaker is a role. You are not thinker, thinker is a role. You are not seer, seer is a role. Atma iti upasita. You contemplate upon yourself as Atma. Apnoti the Atma, which pervades all of these, is called Atma. Meaning that which pervades the speaker, the thinker, the hearer, the knower. That speaker is a role, hearer is a role, thinker is a role, knower is a role. Apnoti, one that pervades all the roles. All the roles are specific. That which is non-specific in all the specific, nirvishesham. And that nirvishesham is not something different from you. It is your own self. This is how, by revealing the nature of Atma, by helping us to redirect our attention to ourselves, the mind that is looking for truth always out there, as something different from me, like a scientist would do. He looks at the matter and is looking for reality in matter, thinking that is where the reality is, because there is already an assumption that the reality is out there. I am not the reality. Even though now they talk of including the self, etc., in the whole system, but still, the idea that what I am looking for is separate from me, that idea still remains. We are still looking out there through various sophisticated instruments. If Atma or Brahman or the truth is looked at as me, then the means would be different. Then yoga would be the means. Turning my mind inward would be the means. Meditation would be the means. Thus, the means of discovering Atma is altogether different from the means of discovering the physical reality. Atma Drashtavya. Thus, even though this may look like Tavya, looks like a Vidhi, an injunction, that Atma must be known, Bhashyakara explains. It has turned my mind, which is looking for Atma elsewhere, to turn it to myself. That is why sage Yajnavalkya started this discourse to Maitreyi. Navare patihu kamaya patih priyo bhavati, atmasu kamaya patih priyo bhavati. Hey Maitreyi, it is not for the sake of the husband that the husband is dear to a wife, to the wife. It is for the sake of herself that husband is dear. Navare jayaya kamaya jaya priya bhavati. Atmastu kamaya jaya priya bhavati. It is not for the sake of wife that the wife is dear to husband. For his own sake that the wife is dear. Husband loves wife. But still, that love is conditional love. As long as wife is conducive, wife is agreeable, wife is supportive, wife is loving, so long the wife remains the object of love. If for whatever reason the wife turns, becomes hateful, starts hating the husband, even a little child, an infant is always very dear to the father or mother, because infant is totally agreeable. It gives unconditional love to mother or father as long as it is infant. When that entity turns 2 years and then there is this terrible 2, and it starts showing its individual self, And by the time it's 3 or 4, the self is well developed. I told the child, please switch off the TV. Do I have to? Meaning that now it is an individual who will do what it wants to do. Then it no more remains dear to me. Meaning that it is not that I love even my child unconditionally. Love to my dear child also is conditional. As long as child is agreeable to me, favorable to me. Atmastu kamaya. See, Yajnavalkya told to Maitreyi, started by saying that it is not for the sake of husband that husband is dear, not for the sake of wife is dear, and so forth. He has a long list. That says, Nabhare sarvasya kamaya saram priyam bhavati, atmasu kamaya saram priyam bhavati. It is not for the sake of saram, everything other, that it is dear to me. It is for the sake of self that it is dear to me. So this is being said to direct the attention to myself. Like Maitri, each one is looking for happiness outside. A wife looks at husband as a source of happiness. Husband looks at wife as a source of happiness. Understand that husband loves wife for the sake of his own self and so forth. So that is how the attention is directed to the self. Maitri stands for anybody looking for happiness outside of oneself. By saying that Atmanastu kamaya saram priyam bhavati, anything becomes dear to you because of your own self, because your self is dear. The attention is directed to the self. Yes, Atma vridrashtavya looks like an injunction that Atma must be seen. It is not an injunction to see the Atma in a conventional sense. That just as I see an object in front of me, not in that sense that the teacher says that Atma must be seen. Even though the verb is drashtavya. Because we have to use words from our common language. The knowledge of Atma is of altogether a different nature. And we have no words to describe that, therefore we have to borrow words from our day-to-day language. And that is why Vedanta teaches that Atma is not vachyartha, not the literal meaning of any word. Lakshyartha. It is the targeted meaning of word lakshya. Even word Atma also is not adequate to describe Atma. No word can describe truth. No word can describe Atma, not even word Atma. No word can describe Brahman, not even word Brahman. Each of these words ultimately has to be understood by lakshyartha, by the targeted meaning. Targeted meaning is myself. Each of these words, and there are chosen words that are used, Nitya, Shuddha, Buddha, Mukta, etc. Although Brahman is all-pervading, it's a self of all names and forms. Therefore, any name and form can be used, like you can say in part, this is Brahman. Technically it would be right. But that would not help me to appreciate Brahman. So Brahman is Nitya, Shuddha, Buddha, Mukta. Brahman is the self. These are the words which are able to help me transcend the Vachyartha literal meaning and appreciate the Lakshyartha, the implied meaning, the targeted meaning. Like in a pole vault, I take a pole and lift myself up to 5 feet. Then pole is dropped and then I cross the barrier. So also a word is like a vault pole. It lifts me up to a certain point, the Vachyartha. Then word is dropped, leaving the appreciation of truth. If the mind is mature, mind is prepared, so we said earlier, that is why Vedanta talks about the adhikaritvam of a different nature. Every knowledge requires adhikaritvam, fitness. But Vedanta requires a fitness of different nature, of becoming free from ragadveshas and emotional freedom. With that mind, then these words will help me to jump, to let go of the Vachyartha, and appreciate the Lakshyartha. So in this fourth sutra, Tattu Samanvayāt, Bhashyakara takes up this point of how Vedanta is a pramanam. Other point that is also discussed in this sutra is the state of Jivan Mukti. Liberation while you are still alive. A question is asked that knowledge takes place and then you are liberated when knowledge takes place. But when samsara comes back, when your notions or Brahman or illusion about yourself come back, you again become a samsari. Because you have been a samsari or taking yourself to be a samsari or limited being from time beginningless. So how does this knowledge dispel the ignorance that has been going on from the time beginningless? Vedantin's answer is, it doesn't matter how dense the darkness is, how ancient the darkness is, the lamp or the light dispels the darkness immediately and forever. Similarly also, how dense the ignorance is, how ancient it is, the knowledge that I am Brahman dispels that ignorance. Yes, Vedanta does accept the need of abiding knowledge. What is meant by abiding knowledge is overcoming the habitual error that I am a samsari. I have been habitually identifying myself with the body, mind, sense complex. And therefore, without anybody telling me, I take myself to be a limited being. Taking limitations, upadhi of body, mind as my limitations. And therefore, that I am a limited being is something that is built into me. The samskaras are very deep and ancient. So it is true that it will take some time to neutralize the samskara. So even when knowledge takes place, Vedanta says, Sapratibandhakam jnanam. The jnanam, the knowledge, still remains with pratibandhaka, with obstacle. What is obstacle? The dehatma buddhi, the habitual identification of the body, continues to remain after the knowledge has taken place. Because taking the body to myself, those samskar habit is much stronger. And therefore, I have to cultivate a new habit of my being Brahman. Vedantins tell this famous story of a person who has been a beggar for the whole of his life, for 50 years. They were all sitting outside a temple, Mahalakshmi temple, as the beggars do in India, and receiving 1 rupee, 2 rupees, some money. Somebody advises beggar, hey, why don't you buy a lottery ticket? So from then on, that beggar started buying a lottery ticket every month, one rupee. And beggar must have been really greatly fortunate that one day he hit the jackpot. He became multimillionaire overnight. All these years he had been taking himself to a beggar. Now overnight he has become wealthy. So assimilate that knowledge. That I am a beggar, that habit keeps coming up again and again. Now even though he is wealthy, he has a big motor car, he has a chauffeur. He has all these new flashy clothes. One day he goes to that Mahalakshmi temple, by whose grace Mahalakshmi got this wealth. The temple is in a narrow lane, so motor car cannot go into that lane. Motor car has to be parked on the road outside. So this now new wealthy person from the car goes into that lane, to the temple, makes an offer to Goddess Mahalakshmi, expresses his great gratefulness and seeks the blessings, and comes out. At that time, some devotees distributing laddus to the beggars. It's a big basket of laddus in his hands. And he's distributing one laddu at a time. There is a long line of beggars. This now the new turned wealthy person, he did not even know when he entered that line. When he pushed himself to get into the front and to manage not one laddu but 2 laddus from that devotee. And started munching the laddu and was walking to his car. As he reached his car, munching this laddu, the chauffeur looked at him in a very strange manner. Then this fellow realized what he had done. Just habitually that he became a beggar and picked up these laddus. So this person has to meditate. I'm a wealthy person, I'm a wealthy person, I'm a wealthy person. To overcome the habit that I'm a beggar. So also, this wise person also needs to what they call meditate, that is called nididhyasanam. It is dhyana of one kind, root is dhyai, and nididhyasanam is meditation of a specific kind of meditation. In words of our Puja Swami, it is a meditation upon the meditator. Usually meditation involves an object of meditation that is different from the meditator. Nididhyasanam is a kind of meditation that is a meditation upon the meditator. And that is to overcome this habitual error of taking these body, mind, upadhi as the self. Thus, yes, it is true that the samsaritvam seems to linger for a while out of habit. Once that habit is overcome, and one becomes free, one owns up one's nature, then that samsaritvam cannot come back. Because that samsaritvam was unnatural. Although I am a samsari, I am a jiva, this notion has been going on from time beginningless. Looks like it is my nature. But it is not nature, it is habit. Whereas I am Brahman is my nature. That's the reason why when that nature is asserted long enough, this wrong habit will be overcome. And the wise person becomes abiding, established in his essential nature. Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. Once that happens, then the samsaritva cannot stage a comeback. Famously it is said that when knowledge takes place, ignorance cannot come back, cannot stage a comeback. Just as when the light comes, the darkness cannot stage a comeback. And therefore, once the wise person becomes abiding in the knowledge, now he is his natural self. We are the ignorant people are not our natural self, the habitual self. Taking jiva as myself is a habitual thing. And that person, the wise person, alone lives really a life as it should be lived. He alone enjoys the life because he starts enjoying himself. That is the nature of this knowledge. As Lord Krishna says, Atmaneva Atmana Tushtaha, describing a wise person, it is said he is contented, satisfied with his own self. Meaning that for satisfaction, for happiness, he does not need anything other than himself or herself. Imagine, all I need to be happy is myself. Then who can deny that happiness? When I recognize that happiness is my own nature, and self is self-revealing, so that's self-revealing happiness. When the unhappiness born out of this false habit, wrong habit, is eliminated, so now there is no obstacle to the manifestation of happiness which is my own self. Because Atma is self-effulgent, so happiness is self-effulgent. Meaning that I know I am happy effortlessly. If happiness comes as a result of some pleasurable object, then some effort is involved, then there is a notion that I am the enjoyer of happiness, I am a bhokta, that is an object, that is a bhogya, object of enjoyment. Here, that bhokta, bhogya, duality no more remains. That is what Upanishad does. Upanishad is pramanam, the means of knowledge for revealing the true nature of self, by making me recognize that is duality of the bhokta and bhogya is false. that I am not bhokta. Anasnan anyo abhichakashiti. The Mundaka Upanishad says that there are two birds in the self-same tree. One of them is enjoying the karma phala. Tayoranyah piplam swadvatti anasnan anyo abhichakashiti. Not that there are two birds, when two birds are imagined, a Jiva bird and an Ishvara bird. Meaning same self, when ignorant is called Jiva and when he knows the self is called Ishvara or Brahman. One of them, the ignorant self, he flutters from branch to the branch and experiences a variety of fruits of a variety of tastes. Tayoranya pipalam swadvatti. Pipala means phala, karma phala, a variety of nature. Pleasant, painful, etc. Anasnanya abhichakashiti. Anya, the Ishvara or the wise person also you can say. Anasnan. He does not eat. He doesn't have bhoktrutva. He doesn't have enjoyership, experiencership. Abhichakashiti, he remains abiding his own nature. Thus the wise person becomes free from the sense of experiencing bhoktrutva and therefore also kartrutva. That is the freedom from kartrutva and bhoktrutva that the wise person has. And bondage does not come back. He abides in his freedom. Vedanta calls it Jivan Mukti. Mukti, liberation, Jivan while living. And this is a very important concept in Vedanta, Jivan Mukti. The Advaita Vedanta is only teaching which talks of Jivan Mukti, talks of freedom, liberation while you are alive. How can you imagine yourself to be mukta, liberated? I am bound in every way. I am bound in every way is based on what I think of myself. When I come to know the true nature of myself, I realize that I've always been free. The Pramanam, the Vedanta simply removes the avaranam, the vidya, and vikshepa, removes the ignorance and reveals what is. Therefore, Vashyakara says moksha is nitya. Moksha, the liberation, the freedom is eternal. Because it is not created, it is revealed. If moksha is created even as a result of knowledge, that as I am ignorant right now, I am bound, and when knowledge takes place, I become liberated. If liberation is a result of the knowledge, then whatever is result or outcome or created is anityam, is impermanent. What is created will perish one day. So moksha also is not a result of knowledge. It's not that knowledge produces moksha. Knowledge doesn't produce anything anytime. Just as light does not produce anything, light only reveals what is. So also knowledge reveals what is. Reveals the fact that moksha is my nature. So moksha is not created. The moksha is eternal. It is not created, so imperishable, because it's my nature. And therefore, moksha when comes, I shouldn't use the word come, but still when it is recognized, it is eternal, it is permanent. And that is how the quest in my life of seeking Nitya Vastu, seeking something that is permanent, that quest is fulfilled. Our Pujya Swami used to say that human being is in search of the infallible. What is the infallible? That which does not fail me, that which is trustworthy. Everything is, it changes its nature and therefore shows a different face every other moment. That which remains the same, that alone is trustworthy. And I as a human being, I am in search of the trustworthy. Only thing is trustworthy is the self which never changes. And moksha, being nature of the self, also never changes, also is trustworthy. And therefore my quest of achieving the trustworthy is fulfilled when I realize that I am Nitya Mukta, I was always liberated, I was always free. The freedom of moksha is not created, is not born. It is always an existing fact, not recognized because of ignorance. And ignorance and knowledge enables me to recognize that. In that sense, Vedanta is Pramanam. Vedanta Nam Upanishad. Vedanta means Upanishad. Vedanta Nam Upanishad Pramanam. Vedanta, which is Upanishad, is Pramanam. Not in a conventional sense of revealing what is not revealed. As I said, like the eyes are Pramanam by revealing the colors and forms. But Vedanta is Pramanam by removal of ignorance. Ignorance in the form of the false notions. And therefore, this process of studying Vedanta or gaining knowledge, our Swami used to say it is shedding ignorance in the form of the false notions. As I recognize, as I understand Vedanta, I progressively become free from notions. And the bondage is of the nature of notion only. Therefore here, the freedom from bondage is freedom from a perceived bondage, not a real bondage. Bondage that is a notion. And Vedanta enables me to become free from notional bondage by revealing the fact that I've always been mukta, liberated, always been free. And therefore that moksha also is nitya or eternal. This is basically what Vedanta Nam Upanishad Pramanam, that Vedanta is Pramanam, is what is meant by, this is what is meant by Vedanta being Pramanam. In Atma must be seen, Atma must be known. This is what is meant by these statements. Om. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.
विदिताखिल शास्त्र सुधा जलधे महितोपनिषत् कथितार्थनिधे हृदये कलये विमलं शरणं भव शङ्कर देशिकमे शरणं भव शङ्कर देशिकमे शरणं भव शङ्कर देशिकमे शरणं।